Welcome back to Keeping Fish Simple. So in today's video, I'm going to give you guys a little update on what's happening in my fish room, as you'd call it. I've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes, and if you've been following my Instagram, you would have seen what I just got. So I've got a couple new tanks, and I haven't set them up yet, but I'm going to give you guys an update on everything, and I'm going to go through all my tanks and show you all my fish, and you guys will get to see a bunch of new stuff today, and I hope you guys enjoy this video. Okay, so this is what the fish room's currently looking like. There's also the tanks in the other room. But this is what I've been working on behind the scenes. So if you've been following my Instagram, you would have seen that I constructed these 4 tanks and the stands and all that kind of stuff. So I've got 2 55-gallons here and then 2 30-gallons here. I'm honestly not even sure what I'm going to use this all for. There's going to be a heap of breeding projects on the channel. As you can see, these are all made out of like treated pine, which I built and then painted over. And these tanks are just like standard aquarium tanks, and there's nothing special. I got these. They were pretty expensive, and the whole setup was not cheap, but that's going to be in the future. We're going to be setting these things up and putting heaps of fish in there and seeing what happens with that. But over here is my classic setup, and this is what you guys are used to. So this is my angelfish tank. In this tank I've got 6 koi angels, as you can see here, and then I've got 1 stray crebensis that I have, and he's huge. So he hides around, he's in the back there. He hides around a lot, and we don't get to see much of him, but he comes out when we feed this tank, and he's actually been causing a couple of problems. So he's a real aggressive little guy, and that was part of the reason he's in this tank. But as you can see, some of these angelfish do have nipped fins, and he's been having a go at them, and they're okay. They're not too stressed because they're getting fed well and the tank conditions are good. Obviously the angelfish will need to leave, so we're going to be putting them in one of these tanks over here. So there's 6 angelfish and just the 1 crebensis. And this tank does do really, really well. I'm conditioning these angelfish up and getting them up to a size where I can start to breed them again. And these guys do, they do really, really well in this tank. And yeah, they're just about to start outgrowing it. So in this tank, there is a huge, what do you call this thing, an Amazon sword here. And then we have some Java fern and Anubis up the back with some Bacopa here. And there's also a little bit of water sprite. I don't know even how this stuff is getting in here. I planted that one. But there's a whole ton of Java moss here too. And I'm gonna have to obviously give this tank a real good clean up when we start to construct these 2 tanks, because I want to use a lot of these plants for my new tanks. So that's what's happening in that tank. This is just run off a really cheap light that I got off eBay and a cheap filter. So I don't like to buy expensive things at the moment. I don't think it's very necessary for these aquariums, but in the future I might invest in some more expensive lights that last a bit longer, but for now they're working perfectly fine. And then down here is my bristlenose aquarium, and there's also a breeding pair of crebensis in here. So I'm trying to get these guys to breed for me. I've had them for a bit. They actually haven't bred for me yet, but they're doing really, really well. They're hiding in here somewhere. I can't really find them. They're just somewhere in here. But I do have a bristlenose in this log here, and he's been breeding like crazy. And if you can see, along the aquarium there's tons and tons of tiny little bristlenose babies, and I put a few in here just to keep this thing cycled. And they are so small and so cute, but I've got tons and tons of bristlenose now, and these are mixed between albinos and just the commons. And in this aquarium, oh, here they come out. Awesome. You guys get to have a look at that. So in this aquarium, I have another Amazon sword that I'm just trying to get to grow out really big. I've got some crypt Wendi up the front, I think, and some Anubis on all the rocks and stuff, and some jungle val up the back. Now, I need some more driftwood for all my aquariums, so I'm gonna have to buy some of that. But this tank is doing really, really well. I have to clean it often because there's about 7 really big bristlenose placos, as you can see here. So this guy's not too big, but that female up the back is a couple of years old and she is huge. So that's why there's so many fish, because she can lay so many eggs. So this tank's doing really, really well. And I'm not going to change too much of this in the future, but I'm definitely going to be putting a bunch of bristlenose in all my aquariums and growing them up and selling them later on. Now, this is one of my most favourite spots in the entire house at the moment, and that's because we've got tons and tons of fry in this setup. So I've got, on my top tank is my Zebra Danio breeding setup, and I've also got a breeding pair of bristlenose in there that are just about to lay some more eggs. They had some eggs at the start, but they didn't get fertilised properly, and we didn't get any more fry. But I've got my 2 breeder boxes up here full of Zebra Danio fry, and then down below is my Endler Guppy aquarium, and there's no cherry shrimp in there anymore. It's just Endler Guppies, and that's definitely going to be getting changed in the future. But I'm going to quickly run through this. So this is definitely one of my favorite setups at the moment. I'll just move this lid. There's tons of finicky stuff around here. So in this aquarium I have 5 zebra danios. I've got 2 males and 3 females. And if you guys watched the How to Breed Zebra Danio series, you would have seen me breed these guys. So in this little aquarium here, I've got about 40 Zebra Danio Fry, and these guys are almost a month and a half old now, and they're doing really, really well. They're on brine shrimp at the moment, and they're eating that every day and a couple times a day. And sorry for the cloudiness, I've just done a little bit of a water change in there to keep it as clean as possible. And in this aquarium, we have some 2-week-old Zebra Danio Fry, and these guys are doing really, really well. I've got a way better batch of these guys because I've been here the whole time to take care of them. If you guys didn't know, I went away as they had their eggs, and these were raised up by someone else, so they did a really good job. But we don't have as many, and that's because they couldn't get fed as much. So this tank is doing really well. If you want to see up the back, this tank is obviously a little bit cloudy. It's had a water change, but there's a pleco up the back, a male, and there's a female as well somewhere in here, probably hiding around. I've just been feeding them green beans, and they've been doing really well as well. So there's also the Zebra Danios in here. These are the long fin styles, and you can see how fat and plump they are. They're doing really well as well. Everything's doing really well. There's a ton of Java moss in this aquarium, and I'm going to definitely change this up in the future. I kind of want all my aquariums to be planted tanks. I think that planted tanks are way more interesting than bare bottom tanks, although bare bottom tanks are good for breeding projects because it's easier to take the fish out, and these guys are super darty and hard to catch. So I'm kind of tossing up whether I want to make this a planted aquarium or not. I'm not too sure. We'll have to see what I decide. I'm very undecisive, and if I'm being honest, I'm way too picky when it comes to these things, and they always have to be perfect. So as you can see, like all the cords and stuff are like organized perfectly so that they all are really neat for me to understand, and that's just how I am. And if you guys watch the videos, I try and make them as good as possible. I did have a mess up in one of my videos recently, but I'm trying to make them as good as possible for you guys, so I hope you guys are enjoying them. But down here is something that I'm not too proud of anymore, and this is my Endler Guppy tank. So I don't know what's really going on in this aquarium. I'm constantly fighting sicknesses and giving this tank medicines to try and keep these guppies alive. I don't know what's happened with the guppies lately, but they're super tricky to take care of. And you can see in here, these guys, it makes me really sad because these guys are really beautiful and they have awesome colors. But I think that sometimes they've just got too weak of a strain. I've obviously had this colony for a while and they've been breeding with each other. And over time, they've just not gotten as strong. So there's a couple old guys in there that aren't doing too well. But this tank, obviously, its lights aren't great anymore. I'm gonna have to upgrade the lights. And I kind of want to just rip this tank up, keep the plants, and then rescape it because there's just a ton of moss and stuff in here and it's not looking too good. And I want all my aquariums to look as good as possible so that I can teach you guys as much as possible and you guys are entertained by them, and most importantly that I'm entertained by them. So let me know what you think of this aquarium. I mean, like, it would look good if it had better lighting, but it's not doing too great at the moment. So that's pretty much the fish room. If you guys did enjoy this video, please be sure to leave a like, and I hope you guys enjoyed seeing this all, and I will see you guys in the next video.